All right, well, welcome everyone to the Seeding Digital Skills Program information webinar. My name is Jason Chang. I will be hosting and moderating the conversation today. The Ontario Chamber of Commerce is a not-for-profit business association. We are the indispensable partner of business and Canada's largest and most influential provincial chamber. We are independent, a not-for-profit advocacy and member services organization with 140 plus local chambers of commerce across all parts of Ontario, representing 60,000 members. We convene, mobilize, and empower businesses and local chambers in the pursuit of bringing inclusive and sustainable prosperity to Ontario's businesses, workers, and communities. And we think the Seeding Digital Skills program does those things. While we meet in cyberspace, I want to acknowledge that I'm coming to you from the city of Toronto, which is located on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. As we lead these informative information sessions, I want to acknowledge that Indigenous peoples continue to face outsized barriers to accessing skilled training, education, and workforce opportunities. It is incumbent upon all of us to break down these barriers. Indigenous participation in Canada's workforce, education, and economy is essential to strengthening both Indigenous prosperity and Canada's businesses. The agenda we have for today. I've welcomed you here, and I will do some introductions of our guests shortly. We will then turn it over to my colleague, who will explain a little bit about the Seeding Digital Skills program and how the program works, how businesses can access the program for free. We'll then turn it over to our technology and training partner, Unity, to discuss the digital twin training, how that curriculum is structured, what people will learn. Then we'll turn it over to our friends at the Food Processing Skills Canada, who will talk a little bit about how this important training is related to the food and beverage industry. We'll have questions and answers sessions after. You can always type a question and answer in the Q&A box. We will either address that during the presentation or at the end during the question and answer period. Quickly to introduce our guests, my colleague, the Vice President of Small Medium-Sized Business Programs, Louis De Palma, will be presenting, along with our friends from Food Processing Skills Canada, Deanna Zenger and Kevin Elder, and from Unity Technologies, Alistair Mountain, Miguel Garcia, and Titi Ondunsi.
Well, thanks, Jason, for the introduction. I'm Louis De Palma from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. And thank you all for joining us today on the webinar. We do have some very, very exciting news to share with you. I got to tell you, I am really excited about this too. Not only is everybody else excited involved in the project, but I'm personally excited about this. We're able to offer digital twin training for the ag, tech, and food and beverage sectors through a partnership that we have with Food Processing Skills Canada, Food and Beverage Ontario, and the Canadian Agriculture and Human Resources Council. It's a great partnership, as you can see just from the organizations that are involved in this. And this whole project that we're going to talk to you about today is made possible through the funding and partnership from the Government of Canada and the support of Upskills Canada. With the funding that they've had, we're able to bring this program to these sectors at no cost, as Jason said. So what is this all about? It's all about us giving businesses, and we hope to train up to 400 businesses through this project, and to provide you with some leading edge training that will give your organizations a real competitive advantage through the ability to create digital twins of your operations. The training will provide your learners with skills to use cutting edge technology to improve productivity, efficiency, and profitability. Graduates will be able to manage and deploy interactive digital twins of your operations. In other words, they can recreate your operations in virtual space. And then you can manipulate that virtual space to identify maybe things that you can do to improve your operation. So very exciting thing. It's really leading technology. We're also very pleased to be working with Unity, which is, some of you may know, is probably the leading company in the world that's providing this kinds of training. So who's this for? It's for folks and businesses in the ag tech and food processing sectors, whether you're involved in dairy products, grain and oilseed, whether you're in, vegetable growing, greenhouses, meat production, you name it. If you're in those sectors, this is for you. What is the program all about? I'll just give you some quick highlights before I turn it over to our colleagues at Unity to give you a deeper dive. It is a free online program. It lasts for 12 weeks. We'll be starting the program itself in cohorts of about 20 individuals sometime the third week of July, and the cohorts will run on an ongoing basis from then till perhaps the beginning to mid-January. It also provides access to learners and their organizations to the Unity platform. So that access to the Unity platform and the license is for a 12-month period. It starts on the day that the learner enters and enrolls in the course and continues for an additional 12 months. So it goes well beyond the training period of the individual. There's also a credential, because people ask us, okay, so I'm going to take this training. What do we get? Well, there's a credential that you will get about successful completion, about your mastery in using the technology to create these digital twins of your organizations. So why does it matter? Why is it important to your organization? Well, if you're looking to reduce waste, if you're looking to reduce downtime, if you're looking to save energy, if you're looking for food or safer ways to provide storage of food, and if you're looking to improve the efficiency, let's say, of your processing line, if you improve your yields, if you're working in the ag tech sector, this is the program for you. We believe that this is something that's as we've talked to organizations and we've talked to our partners, it's clear that the whole world, it doesn't really matter what sector you're in. They're really moving to digitization. They're really moving towards upskilling with new technology. And that's what this program will do for the ag tech and food processing sector. So that's just a little bit about the program itself. I will turn it over now to our colleagues at Unity to give you more information about how it actually is going to work.
Louis, before we turn it over to Unity, I do see a question in the question box that's related to what you just said. So I'm going to ask that right now.
Okay.
Is there a deadline to register for the training?
Well, I got to tell you, the training spots are going fast. So yes, if you're interested, please let us know. Please let us know now. We're taking registrations right now, actually. So, and as I said earlier, there's 400 spots. So we hope to get that first cohort out. So I would suggest that if you're interested, register, just drop your email information into the chat to Jason, and we can register you for the program, and we'll get back to you. One of our team will contact you, get some additional information, and then put you on the list to take the training.
Yeah, and we'll have information about how to express your interest in the program at the end of the presentation. So now I'll turn it over to Unity.
All right, thank you very much. Let me get the screen shared and get the slideshow on the road. Okay, so yes, welcome. Let me, if I can see people. There we go. Yes, I'm Alistair. I'm part of the training team here at Unity. We've got a couple of my colleagues on the call as well. So we'll be chipping in with the answers and question and answer session. But I want to talk a little bit about what we're planning to do in this program. Now, for those who are not familiar with Unity, we are a real-time 3D engine. We are primarily a games creation tool. But that's changed in the last sort of 5 years or so, where sort of more industries have started to get a little bit of FOMO, and they've started to become more interested in making things in real time, and in particularly 3D. Now, the benefit of using Unity, that's always been the case, regardless of what the end result is that you can port whatever project it is onto many different devices. So Lots of people create content that's for augmented virtual reality, tablets, phones, all from the same project essentially that's created on a PC or Mac or Linux as well. So we're very accessible with regards to how you can create content and what content can be displayed on and used within. So that's a very brief overview of us. I think it's around 20 years old now, Unity. Started off in Denmark and has migrated across the pond nowadays. I'm of course not from that side of the things. Now, this is what we're sort of aiming at here is if you can imagine a future where you start to see some of the things that you regularly encounter. So, for example, production lines, think about how we could start to simulate those. So we could start to see what the throughput would be if we were to add an additional line to something, or maybe increase the rate with which things can be processed. How would that affect, or the knock-on effect? How would that actually work? And these are the sorts of things that you can replicate with what's called a digital twin, which I'll talk a little bit about shortly. So entire production lines, all the stuff to do with, mixing, heating, packaging, all of the processes that go into that, and how that can allow you to run those simulations to check whether is this a good use of our energy, could this really speed things up, or would this create issues in the future? So these are all things that you can simulate, and the benefit obviously of simulation is it can be run and tested many times, and it's very efficient in the way that it works. Now, other things that you can start to think about is when you're monitoring some of these things as well. So yeah, you may have on your production lines at the moment, cameras that are registering and checking for abnormalities, running through a visualization sort of simulation. And again, this is something that you could feed into the digital twin that would allow you to check whether something is happening more frequently at certain times and stuff like that. So these sort of real-time performances, these predictions, these are all things data that probably exists somewhere in your organization that is not really being stored or utilized in the future. And that's where this digital twin would be able to help. Now, as well, you may have used training for sort of safety-based training and stuff like that. You may have done some of that using digital technology, and that's something that you could use the same resources that you run a simulation on whilst training people as well. So it'd be the same assets that you would use. And this is what we want to try and get across to people, is to try and imagine these types of situations and what the benefits of these could be. Now, when it comes to the program sort of objectives, these are the things that we're thinking primarily about. So it's, getting people future ready, okay, future proofing, seeing, the technologies out there. AI is a big buzzword at the moment, but it's becoming a lot more useful. It's becoming a lot smarter and more accessible. And the features of AI could really help to identify and to solve some of the issues which you maybe encounter every day, or at least when you do encounter them, they're a big headache, and potentially there could be some solutions in digital technology that could solve those issues. Now, other stuff that we want to make sure in here is we're going to be talking about a lot of theory. We're going to try and implement some of these things in the sessions as well, to try and talk you through and work your way through how this could potentially be implemented. And we want you to bring your ideas to the table as well. We're going to as well, make sure that this is sort of a collaborative problem-solving solution sort of agenda as well. So we want to make sure that during these sessions you bring, what troubles are you having in your industry? What things do you think digital technology could help to solve? And, you might find that other people have a very similar issue that you could maybe perhaps collaborate with down the line, or at least get a working group together to try and, solve these bigger issues together. And then, of course, everything, optimization and sustainability is obviously a big key factor in things nowadays. And of course, being able to test things digitally is much cheaper than manufacturing equipment and the downtime and all the stresses of that. So building these sort of digital twins could help reduce those waste and enhance sustainability and stuff like that. And then, of course, we want to see people with innovators. We want to see people have innovative ideas. We want to bring solutions to the table, and you never know, it could be a game changer for the entire industry that could come out of a conversation you have during this program. Now, when it comes to the actual curriculum, we're doing 12 sessions, very hands-on. We're going for, a target audience across the agriculture, food processing, and beverage professionals. And the game, or the goal really, is to empower everybody to think about things in a real-time 3D technology and how we can start to introduce some of this stuff in. Now, in some of the sessions, of course, it's not going to be super high tech every single time. We're going to go through some not so smart looking digital twins, just to show you that it's not always about the visuals. It can just be about feeding the data into a system to get calculations that are visibly displayed, but not necessarily, flashing lights and super high fidelity graphics or anything like that. Although we will cover some of that as well. So it's really going to be a sort of hands-on theme, and there's going to be a hands-on question. There's going to be a theme for each session we're going to try and address during that session. So we're going to try and use real-world examples, show some examples of where agriculture and food sectors, this solution has perhaps been talked about before, or at least potentially some other industries that have used the technology in a similar way. And to showcase how other things perhaps are doing it, maybe not in ag tech right now. And then we're going to go work through some, hands-on activities in Unity to try and get people familiar with the software and, showcase how the introduction could go and how you can actually start to begin to implement this during the sessions. And of course, lots of time for reflection and discussions. And like I said, we want to try and make this, a collaborative process. So at least coming out of the end of the program, you'll have somebody that has also been through the program that would perhaps have some really good ideas that you could bounce off and continue working in the future. Of course, there's going to be self-paced learning provided as well. So there's plenty of other accessories that you'll have access to rather than just the 3-hour sessions that we're going to be running. You're going to have access to lots of on-demand training materials. So if you're really interested in, getting more hands-on with Unity and what it can do, we're going to provide you with lots of materials. Suggestion there's about 400 hours, and that's always been, ramped up. We're always adding new content to that. So that will grow as the year goes on. And like I say, lots of opportunities to collaborate and bring questions to the table. So when it comes to the tools, this is what Unity and real-time 3D does. It provides the extensive product ecosystem. So like I mentioned before, whatever you create here can be transferred onto other devices. It's not necessarily just a desktop application that you're going to create. It could be something that you could push to a mobile device to make it more accessible to more people, or virtual reality or extended reality, those types of situations where you may have seen, training done in the past. Okay, so like I said, like I mentioned, industries are becoming more interested in, real-time 3D and becoming a little bit more interested in gamifying situations to really get data out of them and to keep people engaged as well. A younger audience, a changing world, people are more attached to technology than ever before, and this is a good way of keeping people interested in the changing world and then that type of stuff. So like I mentioned, these are some examples, or at least some reasons why you might want to use Unity to do some of these things. So this little this sort of image that's been rendered on here, this is a digital twin of an oil factory, showcasing the temperatures and stuff of the different systems, and when things go wrong it would send alerts and stuff like that. This is like a proof of concept that was created, and the idea here was it took real life CAD data we brought that into Unity. We connected it up to different sensors that exist on the machines themselves, so the temperature gauges, the flow accelerators, all these types of different things that can be connected up, and then you get real life insights. So this is monitoring the data all the time, and you probably have something similar in your workflow at the moment, but this is just a way of storing that data. So it's not necessarily just being real-time fed. You can play these back and see how things reacted to certain situations and this type of thing. So these are all the types of things that Unity allows us to do. And this is what's called a digital twin, and this is something that becomes, that over time is becoming more and more used in industry, and more people are getting interested in trying to create one of these. Now, to give you an indication of the types of twins, so of course you can make these super realistic, and that will take a long time to do, of course, because there's lots of connections to make there, lots of sensors to connect up, and all that stuff. But actually, it doesn't need to be as complicated as that. You can just do a really sort of a level 1 twin over here, which is a super sort of introductory, basic sort of twin that you could do that in under a month, for example. It could just be something that gives you access to a real life visualization of your facility. Not necessarily got connections in real time, but at least it could visualize the space, and it could allow you to plan for adding new machinery in or moving things around, providing you've given it all the the correct measurements and the actual facility data. Then that would be something that would become very useful. And as we move along the page from left to right there, you'll see that you can start to bring in new pieces of technology here. So as you start to connect things up to real-time data and Internet of Things type of data, you can then start to ask it to do more things. So predictive twins would allow you to run simulations based upon some configurations that you've maybe added in there. So what would happen if I increase the rate of production by 5% or something like that? How would that react with the energy spikes and all the other components? It's going to, obviously you'll have a lot of in your industries specifically, you'll have things that potentially would have knock-on effects there, and that's what you could start to predict. So as we move along, that's where the twin becomes a lot more complicated. And there's loads of different industries that are using these at the moment. Some of them are sort of in those little images there. So we've got sort of shipping forecasting, so showcasing where a ship would be at a certain time. Predictive twins, this is where we're starting to run simulations on, or the energy sector are doing things to start to monitor wind speeds and how that would affect certain locations better than others. And then, as we go along, like I said, it introduces more of the top end sort of AI sort of connected abilities. Okay, so one real example of this that's happened in Canada that we've worked on, and I actually worked on a little bit of training staff up on how to use it, is this is a connected twin for the Vancouver International Airport. And you can see it's not necessarily a super realistic or flashy looking simulation. It's very much a 2D top-down view, but it has lots of sensors connected up. So all the doors and everything like that are connected up in here. So if one door was to open when it shouldn't, it would get an alert on the digital twin. And there's loads of reasons why this could be implemented. So it could be for security, it could be for maintenance and monitoring. So some of the ground staff on YVR have this twin on an iPad, and as a job comes in, or if they're close to a part of the airport that they're in, they can check for jobs on the sheet, and if there's any job nearby, they can complete it instead of walking back to a main terminal to find what the job is, to walk all the way back. Obviously, it's a large airport, so that would save on manpower and all the things, more efficient. So this is the sort of twin that's been introduced at YVR, and that's actively going on. And they've got loads and loads of data being streamed into that, and it's been really successful from everybody who's worked on that from YVR's side. Now, finally, how's this sort of integrated for the food and beverage sort of industry? So over here on this little GIF over here, this is a visualization of packaging. You could have this as checking for, AI checking for different types of packaging and perception of that. VR training, so you could start to introduce your Unity project for actually doing certain types of training in virtuality or extended reality. And really, this is all to do with just thinking digitally. Okay, so you may not have considered some of these things in the right now. And this opportunity of this, what we're doing over the 12 sessions should hopefully open your eye to a little bit of making digital a little bit more in your thought process, and certainly think about the optimizations and the performance increases and all the benefits that come with starting to think a little bit more digitally. But other than that, that's about it for me. Thank you very much. I will pass it on to the next person, and I will be in the Q&A shortly.
Thank you very much, Alistair, for that overview. I'm now going to turn it over to our friends at Food Processing Skills Canada. Deanna and Kevin, over to you to talk a little bit about who you are and why you think this is such a valuable training for food and beverage processing industries.
Thanks, Jason. I'm just getting ready to share my screen. That was a wonderful presentation. My name's Deanna Zenger, and I'm with Food Processing Skills Canada. I'm one of the national project managers for Food Processing Skills Canada, and I'm joined today by Kevin Elder. He's our government relations manager, and he's also a labor market specialist for Food Processing Skills Canada. So we wanted to let you know a little bit about who we are and what we do and why we're partners in this exciting project. So FPSC is one of the leading workforce development organizations for Canada's food and beverage processing industry. So what we do is we empower organizations with highly skilled talent, and we provide growth resources. So what we want to do is see our industry grow. We've been founded in 1997, and we form partnerships all over Canada and internationally to bring the stakeholders to the table to make sure that our industry grows is vital. And after all, we feed Canada. So there really isn't a more important sector that we have. We provide a lot of the resources that industry needs, and through partnership on this program, we're quite excited to bring even more. It all boils down to skills, and for the love of skills. While we are in a transformational part of our industry in terms of AI and technology, we still very much provide the human component. So we believe in the marriage of the two, and we're quite excited to see the advances and the transformational advances that a program such as this can bring. So we have 14,000 food and beverage manufacturing establishments and over 300,000 people. So there's a tremendous amount of opportunity here for growth and for bringing the food industry into one of the powerhouses globally. I just wanted to quickly show you why we were chosen as one of the partners. We bring a lot to the table, whether it's labor market information, programs, skilled workforces, and certainly we like to think ourselves as the influencer for Canadian food and beverage businesses. They turn to us when they need information, when they need training, when they need skills, and we provide that. So this marriage, this partnership that we have in this program is a really important one. We have already gone into the world of technology and AI with our really highly popular program, iFood 360. And through that, we learned the benefits of using VR, for example, in training situations where you're trying to model a certain process. VR lets the user experience working in that process, and it's an incredible training tool. So this being the next step, we're quite excited for the digital twinning project. So the opportunities for digital twinning, what they bring to the industry and to the employers that are here with us today, this really is a one-of-a-kind program. So it's quite transformational. I'll use that word again because the future is here. It's not the future anymore. The future is now. And our industry traditionally has been a little bit slower than other sectors to embrace technology. But as I said, the future is here, and the advances that we can do and really use the benefits of the twinning to grow our industry beyond what we have presently. And as we work towards the time that we have in front of us, we're becoming more global. And I think that the current situation that we have, that we all know about, Canada is stepping forward into the world more and more. This type of technology, this type of learning new processes, adapting what we have, is probably one of the most exciting things that has come down the pipeline for a very long time, and it's at no cost. So the employers that are here today on this webinar, I really encourage you to sign up and join this program. And I know that our food and beverage companies and business owners know one another. So spread the word, because this really is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we want you to come on board. So join us.
Yeah, I'll just add one thing, Deanna, that I like to think of this as a like getting your driver's license. It really just opens up the world of opportunities with things you can do. And so you don't need to go whole hog and say, I've got my driver's license, I'm now going to be a race car driver. You can use it on the weekend to go see your friends. There's lots of different ways that you can operationalize this technology. And as Alistair was mentioning, like the opportunities are endless, whether you have projects big or small. There's a way that you can use this to really open up your industry, but also to help people outside the industry understand more what you do. Because I think something that I've certainly come across is that not a lot of people really understand what food and beverage manufacturing is and how it works. And when you're able to show people, whether that's the government, whether that's your customers at the retail or direct to consumer level, that you're actually operating a really efficient business and you've got all of this data to back it up, those are valuable tools as well.
Deanna, Kevin, thank you very much for the highlights of what you do and why you're so excited about this project. I'm gonna jump into facilitating the questions and answers, and I'm gonna jump on something that Kevin said at the end, which is, this is like getting your driver's license. You can use that in different ways, whether you just use it to get to work, or you're going on a large road trip, or you're becoming a race car driver. Digital twins can really be taken into different levels of depth. And so going into the Q&A, one of the questions is it difficult for an average employee to use digital twins, to implement and use digital twins? What type of level of employee is this training for? Can it be used for those who are on the ground, the mechanics, the operators, the line managers? Could executives and project managers use this as well to better understand digital twins and manage digital twin projects? Alistair, Miguel?
Yeah, I suppose the example there would be the YVR one that I mentioned. So everybody can be using it. You can have certain restrictions on certain information. There can be digital skins for different people, so essentially. So what information people are after. So like I mentioned about the mechanics and the tech people on the ground, walking around the airport looking for things that are broken or need fixing. They can access obviously a job log, so it's a very simple interface. They don't necessarily need to understand the digital twin fully, but they can access the information that they need. And of course, that's some training that they would go through to use that. So you can certainly have user-friendly interfaces for people that are not specifically tech savvy. And then of course, people who are implementing this or are really interested in the data and all the bells and whistles that could be implemented in this digital twin, they of course can have access to all of that information and drill down into all the data that it spits out basically and processes. So yeah, I mean, frontline employees, could have one thing, technical expertise can have another, and yeah, it's a universal system that can be adapted depending on what the people actually need from it. What is it they're getting out of it?
So Alistair, what I think I'm hearing from you is not only is the training valuable for those who might be using and building digital twins for their organization, somebody who's maybe in a management role will also get a better understanding of how digital twins applies in their business and be able to maybe manage digital twin projects or engage outside consultants on digital twin projects for their organization.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that the whole system can be used for whoever it is that wants to see it, whatever information they want to gather from it. As long as that information's been fed in, it'll be available to them. For production, for planning of retail or whatever times of the year, that type of thing. It can all be data can be looked back on and checked and validated against what it is they're trying to achieve. So yeah, there's every level of employee in theory can access the digital twin and find something useful from it.
Louis, a programmatic question for you. As an owner of a business, is that individual eligible to take part in the training? And would they still qualify for the subsidy, the stipend. And can you talk a little bit more about how that stipend works?
Yes, certainly an owner can participate in the training, and this is how the stipend works. The stipend is there to help businesses offset some of the costs of the staff or the learner that are taking the training itself. It is up to $2,000. We will ask for payroll just to verify the number of hours they're taking in the course and the payroll offsets. So as long as the owner would fit that requirement, they would be eligible for the stipend as well.
Perfect. Question for Unity. During the live training sessions, they understand it's 3 hours long and there's some homework that goes along at the end. Is there time for participants to ask questions about how to develop their digital twin, how to solve the problems that they might have in their industry, so that the content in the learnings and in the course can be reflective of what's of interest to the participants?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd encourage that. Questions and bringing ideas to the table is going to make it more beneficial for everybody. It's going to make whoever delivers it, so me potentially, more knowledgeable as well about the factors that are maybe troubling in your industries. So yeah, if you can bring ideas, bring questions, everything like that, I want to make it as interactive as possible. Then yeah, absolutely, that's gonna benefit everybody and benefit the program in the long run. Yeah.
A twofold question. First part of the question is, or I'm going to ask it in a twofold way. Our program is being delivered to businesses who have operations in Ontario, and the program is being delivered in English. But in terms of the Unity platform, does it support different languages of users, or is the Unity platform itself in English?
No, as far as I'm aware, it's an English platform. Yeah, it's only got English. I mean, there was talk of Arabic going into it at one point. I think Chinese is available at some level, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've only ever used it in English, so apologies. But yes, I believe it could be used in other languages. Did you have anything on that, Miguel?
Yeah, we've got Japanese, Korean, Spanish, I believe, as well. So we'll provide a list of those languages. So there's a few others that are covered.
Perfect. In terms of tech support, I think maybe this is a twofold question. During the training, but also after, when a successful employee is able to then go out on their own, see what they want to do with their business in terms of using Unity and digital twinning, as they have access to that license, industry license for 1 year. What kind of technical support does Unity provide the users and who have that license for a year?
I don't know. Do you know, Miguel? I don't know specifically on the industry license. I know obviously we have a lot of there's a lot of forums, there's a lot of places to get help. Certainly on Unity, you'll have access to the on-demand platform, which has lots of resources to look up. There's also ways on there to contact people to talk about these things as well in a little bit more detail. So there'll certainly be opportunities. There's plenty of places to find information on Unity. That's a benefit of the platform, is there's lots of resources online because it's been around for such a long time. There's lots of support that can be found freely available, typing into Google and type stuff like that. But there's certainly other ways that you can get access to us via the on-demand platform, which is the 400 hours or whatever training that you're going to get extra sort of to upskill yourself. There's contact information on there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And just to add to what Alistair just shared, because this is a year-long engagement that we're running, even after participants have gone through the program and attended the sessions, you're still really in the program. So there's a lot of work that's going to happen afterwards. So even after the sessions, you have access to our team, as Alistair said. So if there's questions that come in, whether they're technical or they're specifically about something that participants are working on, we're still open to receiving those. We could potentially run office hours as well if there's a group of participants that has a related project they're working on, or questions like that. So yes, in terms of just general support, that's our team. And then, as Alistair said, if it's more technical support that is not necessarily covered by what our team can deliver, we have plenty of resources and context across Unity that can help from a more technical perspective if there's a troubleshooting or a glitch or bug, things like that that people are encountering. But we're there to point people in the right direction and make sure that they get that support.
Dovetailing into another question then, someone's wondering, I've taken the course, I have the license for Unity for a year. I'm trying to build my digital twin projects. What kind of investments might my business need to make to utilize the technology in the most effective way? Maybe in the basic way and in a more advanced way. Could you give some idea of that? And then what happens beyond the 12-month license that the users get?
Yeah, so that would definitely could be a whole nother presentation, but I'll give a quick level summary. So let's say that a participant there, it's one person from one business that has attended the training. You have access, as we mentioned, to the industry license. So that's basically giving you access to every single feature and tool that you use during the training, and you can continue to use that after the program is completed, and you can continue to build upon what you learned and apply it to your own projects. So you as an individual have access to that license and the ability to do that. Now, if you want more people from your business, if you want to introduce this as a tool that more people from your business will use, the initial investment is obviously access to more industry licenses. So we can provide what that looks like in terms of costs, but it would just be that you would need to kind of assess who are the right people from your business that would actually need access to the tool to actually build, to deploy, versus people that are just going to be using it from kind of a frontline perspective. So you would need to assess who actually needs an industry license in your business. Further than that, in terms of investments in additional tools that you'll be integrating into Unity, there's quite a few that can be used to bring your data in. Some of these tools, CAD and others, you might already have access to, so there might not need to be much more investment in that. And then when it comes to processing data, so any infrastructure that needs to support that outside of Unity, if you want any additional on-prem or security features, again, that's completely outside as well. And then in terms of investment, just in training, I would say the other thing that you want to make sure is that you assess how you're going to be upskilling your people to actually use this technology. So whether it's from a practitioner perspective or frontline. So there will be some investment in upskilling your people, both from a Unity perspective and also how to eventually use the digital twins that you do build is helping people understand how to use those.
Yeah, thanks, Miguel. And kind of dovetailing this, and I know, Alistair, you touched upon this during your presentation, but there's different levels of digital twins. And so what you need in terms of sensors or cameras really depends on what you want to do with the digital twin and at what level you want to take that digital twin. Is that fair to say? But if someone doesn't have sensors, doesn't have cameras right now, they can still get started with digital twinning. That's my understanding. Is that true, Alistair? Can you give us a little bit more
absolutely.
context?
Yeah. So anything that's anything that you what I say is anything you plug into Unity always makes it a little bit more difficult than if you were providing that data in a raw format. So you could be monitoring things on a pad and paper at the moment for certain operations, and having that stored digitally means it could then be fed in very easily because it's just a piece of data that can be read by the program. So you can start very, very small, and that's what we'll be going into in the in the sessions themselves, is showing you how simple implementations can be done, and then we'll sort of discuss and show some example of how more large scale, very well developed digital twins have gone, and that's that could be due to the machinery that they purchased had that implementation already in mind. So it could be that getting that information into the twin was a factor in purchasing a particular piece of equipment because it had that sensor that they really would like. So it could be just, everybody starts from the very, very basic ground up, getting the super basic information in there that they have readily available, and then ramping it up as you start to add new pieces of information in there to then go along the line basically to make those predictions and then get those connections made. And yeah, so yeah, you can start with very, very basic stuff, and you can ramp it up as you start to add new features or you start to add new equipment.
So a real example question that we've got is how can a food business use digital twins and this technology to help with their shipping, transportation, and logistics, where food must stay within a certain temperature range? Can digital twins help a business in their logistics in terms of temperature control for their food products?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. So, if we have thinking about sort of warehouses, they're all digitally monitored, and you have access to that temperature gauge. Of course, that could be fed into the twin. It could suggest, on a sunny day, perhaps you want to take shorter routes or have smaller wagons that can get to the distribution location quicker. And that's data that could be, you could have historical data in there as well. So, if you knew that a certain time of the year is always much warmer, you could start to ramp that up ahead of time based upon forecasts. So summer delivery routes could be adjusted depending on that. And then, GPS trackers, all that stuff could be fed in. So they're all, again, readily available in modern machinery. So you could start to see work around, I don't know, roadworks and stuff like that. All that could be fed in. Just like your Google Maps would be right now. It starts to give you diversions, and that could be predicted in the twin. That could suggest, hang on, this is not good for this frozen veg. It's not going to get there in time. Take a different route or take a smaller wagon and do the drop offs in different stages. So yeah, there's loads of reasons that you could start to use this technology for planning and simulating different types of scenarios as well, based upon all of these packaging types and everything like that.
Yeah, and just to build upon that as well, to simplify all of this, if the digital twin isn't helping you make better decisions, then what's the point, right? At the end of the day, all of this should be driving you to make better decisions, be more efficient, make things easier, faster, better quality, help you forecast more efficiently, predict, which eventually helps you make better decisions on anything in your operations. And so it's always, there's a lot of tech terms and concepts thrown out there, but at the end of the day, that's really, let's start with the end in mind, which is we have a challenge or an opportunity. We know that there's things that will be coming down the line that will prove to be challenges to our business. So at the end of the day, how is a digital twin going to help me forecast all of these things, help me predict what might happen with those temperature changes, help me do an audit of my business to see how well prepared we are, or make any changes virtually, digitally, before we actually invest all the time and effort that it takes to make investing in new packaging or new tools or new training, when you don't actually know what the impact be. So a digital twin allows you to run all of these millions of simulations and get that information before you make a big investment in the real world, in your physical spaces. So at the end of the day, it should help you to drive better decision making.
Right. So just jumping on that, Miguel, about better decision making. Someone is saying, I've got packaging lines for my fruit products, for my dry good products. Does this technology help me test making changes to the packaging line before I make those changes? I think the answer is going to be yes, but can you give a little bit more color to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about packaging, making any changes to any of your products, all of that data can be fit through the digital twin. So if you think about like how something moves through a production line, for example, are these changes going to move this product more efficiently through production? Is it going to fit within our shipping containers? So let's say you're making changes and you have containers where all this is going. Well, you need to understand, is it going to fit, or are we going to make any modifications to those containers based on the changes that we're making to the products? And also, when you think about how you present it to the consumer, so a lot of our customers are using Unity to produce digital twins that will do a mock-up of those products before they're actually created. So it's a way to present them internally. So maybe you present it to the business. People can manipulate the products and see how much better they look, how much better they work, and they fit within your operations. There's also AR demos, so people can actually use devices to see the packaging, the product in front of them, and they're able to manipulate it that way. Impact on logistics as well, overall, as I said, whether it's things like load balancing, pallet stacking. So really helping you reduce any costs and delays where you make a change and then you're realizing down the line, we need to change the containers, or we need to change the way that we're shipping this out, or the vehicles that are being used. So it's helping you to prototype all of that before you're making a commitment to any retooling or changes to your operations.
Yeah, you mentioned in an earlier answer, Miguel, about audits, and the question is, could the technology be used to prepare for a quality control audit?
Yeah, absolutely. So auditing, what I was referring to there is kind of a quality control audit. And really around that is this is a great way to also prepare you for those audits. So if you think about sensors, it's integrating all of that data. If you think about production logs, digital checklists, anything like that that helps you to visualize a record of process compliance that can be fed through the digital twin. So if we take this example for a bakery, if you think of tracking temperature logs, sanitation status, tracing ingredients in a single interface. So you could actually replay all of this, show how the process is run on any specific day, and then that helps anyone that's running the audit to visualize compliance or to identify where there might be deviations without actually having to dig. Say, maybe traditionally you've been using spreadsheets or presentations or even paper logs to do this. If you were doing a digital twin and you had the data already running through there, you could actually use that as part of the audit versus more traditional methods that you've been using in the past. What that also means is that you can learn from your audits as well over time. So all of that data that's been collected and the feedback that's coming through can actually help your operations get better by taking that historical data, learning from it, and then helping you to become more efficient and to have a better audit moving forward as well. So it's also learning over time, and that's where you see kind of the end of the journey is more of the predictive side of digital twins. Is that because you're feeding the data and then you're basically inputting how the digital twin is helping you, all that historical data is also helping you to build safer and smarter operations over time.
I know, security of data and also, security of a facility is very important to food and beverage manufacturers, as well as other, industries in general. So a multifaceted question. One is, if I'm feeding data into the digital twin models, into Unity, is the IP protected? Is everything secure? That's the first part of the question. The second part of the question is, how do you use digital twins or leverage digital twins for physical or cybersecurity?
Yeah, so I can answer that in two parts. For the first one, in terms of IP protection, absolutely. Any proprietary assets, whether they're CAD files, formulas, process logic, that is all secure within your environment. So projects can be deployed as standalone applications. That means that you can protect your files. They never have to leave your system unless you're choosing to share them. So we have plenty of customers that control access that way through authentication and role-based permissions and so on. We also have Unity Cloud or Unity Industry as well that is helping with enterprise-grade security features and integration options. So again, you can do secure hosting and infrastructure that can all be managed on your premises, never has to leave unless you choose to do that. So again, we can provide more details on what that looks like. We have plenty of government customers, for example, that where this is very important for them to make sure that everything is secure. Second part of the question in terms of like physical premises, cybersecurity, like what are the use cases around that? One of the things that digital twins can also do, and Alistair talked about this with Vancouver Airport, is physical security by integrating things like camera feeds. So if you already have cameras, most of businesses will have some sort of security feature or system. You can actually feed the information coming from those cameras. You can also access control logs to see different parts of your operations that are being accessed. And you can also get alerts in a type of command center interface. So you can simulate things like intruder scenarios. You can use AI to detect any abnormal behavior on the premises, so areas that should not be accessed at certain times or by certain individuals. For things like cybersecurity, visualizing network activity, critical infrastructure, and interpreting that in a traditional dashboard. So really the digital twin is also a great way to just monitor and integrate data, security data that you already have, and visualizing that. One more thing that I can think of as well, we actually, for our own offices at Unity, we looked at which parts of the building are being most utilized or underutilized at certain times, and then being more efficient in terms of how we use electricity, heating, cooling, things like that, so that we make more efficient decisions, and you're not, wasting all this time and energy and effort on parts of the building that are not being used at certain times of the day or across your operation. So it also helps you to monitor those systems. And then things like foot traffic and parts that you want to be a little bit more efficient with your energy output. So yeah, hopefully that helps to give some ideas.
Yeah, thanks, Miguel. We have a couple more minutes left on the call, and we'll try to finish on time, and I'll try to get to as many of the questions as we can. But if we don't, we'll give you our contact information. If there's more questions you want to ask us after the webinar, please just contact us. This one I will ask, what will be the training days? So we are offering approximately 20 cohorts of training from about the third week of July, starting in the third week of July, and then having cohorts starting regularly into December or January. And the training days will may be different depending on the different cohorts, and the time of day that those will be taking place will also be different. So we'll try to have a few different options to accommodate different learners and the companies that and employers' needs as well. Alistair, you touched upon this a little bit during your presentation. The question is, after completing the training, can a business realistically implement digital twin solutions? I think part of this answer is depending on how advanced you want your digital twin to be, right? Will determine how far you can get or what other training you might need to do in kind of the on-demand courses, or maybe even engaging in outside consultants as well if it gets very, very advanced.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So this is hopefully, but going through this program will open your eyes to getting see what's possible, see how other businesses have implemented it in other industries, give people a real introduction to the technology. And certainly, what we produce during the sessions, we want to be able to, see your progress and showcase that back to your companies and say, this is what I've learned. This is how this is what I've implemented in my 12 sessions. I want to take this further. These are the things that I think could benefit our company. Let's invest in it. Let's go a little bit further. Let's learn a little bit more and, get some extra bodies on board to help manage this and all of the other bits that come with that. So ideally, coming out of the training, we want, eyes to be opened, inspiration to be had, and, future collaboration and continuing with that work into the future would be great as well.
Jason,
Yeah, thanks very much, Alistair.
Jason, can I ask about capstone projects during the training? Because I think that will help with the answer as well.
Yeah, Louis. So do you have a question specifically?
No, that's my question. Can I ask, is there going to be like a capstone project that a learner will be asked to kind of put together as part of the training? Because I think that leads to helping people understand how soon can I use, the training to benefit my company.
Yeah, absolutely. This is meant to be practical. So we want participants to leave with a small project. And the main thing here is for them to be able to showcase and do a stakeholder pitch, basically. So one of the objectives is that you leave the program with something that you can demonstrate back to your business. And that will be you being able to put together a very simple prototype and then taking that to further inspire your business on the possibilities.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you very much to all of our guests. I want to pull up the screen where we give you information of how you contact us. We did have a question in the chat from Amar, whether they were successfully registered. We can definitely, well, we've noted your email and we can double check. If you did complete the expression of interest form, we'll double check that you're on there. If not, we will reach out to you to make sure you complete that form. That form can be accessed by scanning that QR code that's on your screen or going to that web link, occ.ca/programs. If you scroll down to the Seeding Digital Skills section, there is a link there. Our program guide for the full program details of how the mechanics of the program works in terms of an employer participating and sending their employees, that's also available on that web link. seedingskills@occ.ca is our email. If you have any further questions, please reach out to us. We will be following up with all the attendees of this call with the follow-up email that will include a recording of this call as well as those links. So thank you very much to everyone who joined us. Thank you to Alistair, Miguel, and Titi from Unity, as well as Deanna and Kevin from Food Processing Skills Canada for making this webinar so informative. And I hope we've got everybody excited to learn more and participate in our digital twin training program. Thank you very much.